This isn't just a podcast. It's a reminder of what makes America stronger isn't a headline or a hashtag.
It's people, from the ones building our homes to the ones rebuilding their lives.
Veterans, tradesmen, neighbors, and volunteers. Real people doing real things.
Here we find common ground first, and then we work on our differences.
This is the Collective Perspective Podcast,
where purpose, people, and progress meet.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Collective Perspective Podcast. My name is Jeff, and this is my best friend Trav. What's up, Trav?
What's up, everybody? How you doing out there?
Today we're talking about what does batteries included actually mean when it comes to people. Now, we've all seen the Energizer Bunny, and the Energizer Bunny runs off of batteries, and then, hey, when your batteries get eaten up or they die, your energy drops. And so when we're talking about humans, how does that apply to humans, Trav?
Well, I think everybody has an energy. I think everybody has an energy about them, and it can fill a room or it can deplete a room. It depends on what that energy is giving off whenever you go in there. I think everybody does have that power when they go into someplace.
And sadly enough, and I'm not sad a lot, but when I do, people know because I'm not my normal self. I'm very much an extrovert. And if I'm not partaking in being an extrovert and laughing and having a good time and smiling, they can tell something's wrong. And you can feel it more at home, right? Like if I'm sitting there with my kids and I'm upset, the entire temperature of the room changes. And but more importantly, some people bring energy into the room, but others wait for everyone else to supply it.
And what does that mean? I mean, do some people just not have that charismatic ability and they just kind of feed off of everybody else? They drain everybody else?
Well, I think some people, and it's funny, my 5-year-old told me today that, Daddy, I'm the leader at school. Everybody follows me. And I said, okay, what do you mean? She's like, everybody follows my lead. I am the leader. And basically what she's telling me is that she brings the energy to the room.
That's amazing that she can recognize it. And she hopefully is using that power for good.
Yeah. Let's hope. There's a difference between venting and building your identity around excuses.
So what is venting? Venting is just getting some problems off your chest to who?
It's not a drink size at Starbucks.
But who do you vent to? Everybody or just a close group of really tight-knit friends?
Well, I think if you're venting to everybody, you're building your identity around that excuse. I also think that if you're venting and you continually vent, even with your friends, at some point your friends are like, okay, dude, well, you've already, you keep on complaining about this, but what are you going to do about it? And that's where you're getting your battery compartment checked because your friend is saying, hey, are you broken here? Like, you should be doing something about this to prevent this from happening. Did I take the words out of your mouth?
Pretty much. I think that's spot on with how venting can become an excuse over time if you don't do anything about it. I'm a good example of that. I went and I was complaining to Jeff, complaining or venting about how I was feeling with some of the work I was doing previously. And, after a while, I'm sure he was thinking, when are you going to do something about it? Well, I did. And I think I feel much better. I haven't been venting or complaining.
Yeah, but I don't think it became your identity. And I don't think you're making excuses. I think that came down to what most people have a trouble with is change. And the uncertainty, the anxiety that change brings. Because you don't know for sure, but I also think that's where faith comes into play.
I think change, I don't think for me in that scenario it was a thing about change. I think it was much more than I'd like to go into on the podcast. But more so, I think I needed support. Yes, that's a good decision. Yes, that's the way you should go. And when I, brought it up at home, it was not very supportive of what I wanted to do at the time. So where did I go? I came my best friend. Sometimes they have a different insight and may have different solutions to the problem, and that's why venting can be beneficial, but constantly complaining and not doing anything about it is where it can turn sour.
Why do excuses slowly become part of someone's personality if they're not careful?
Why do excuses slowly become part of someone's personality if they're not careful?
I think that's a good definition of a victim mentality.
Victim mentality.
If you always play the victim and, oh, poor me, then you're always going to be the victim. And the only person that can bring you out of it is you.
You find the wrong in everything, and you play it up that, oh, woe is me, I can't do that because I've got this, or I've done that, or I can't do this. It's you become an Americant, not an American.
I like what you did there. Why do some people walk into pressure looking for help while others walk into it prepared?
I think it's probably the way that their mindset works. High pressure situations, the people that are prepared practice for those. Others that are looking for help are ones that aren't prepared. They never came prepared. They didn't study the assignment, or they didn't practice the repetitions. They didn't get the experience to say, hey, if this goes wrong, then all right, it's easy to fix. I can just step this way or rotate the conversation to this aspect.
I think pressure reveals preparation. If you can handle the pressure, then you've prepared. And that's what the meaning of batteries included is that you come to work, you come to do the job. You don't have to be told what to do. You know what to do. You've taken every measure to learn what your job is. And yeah, there's always going to be questions, but you take the initiative. I think that's what it is. People with initiative or a drive have batteries.
And those are the ones that, in my opinion, can turn into really good leaders.
I think it's important to think that discipline creates confidence in those high pressure situations. So again, discipline, I know we're all adults listening to this, but if we want to talk about discipline reflects self-discipline. There's also discipline like where if you were bad, you're being disciplined. But if you have discipline, it's essentially what I'm talking about is, do you have the willpower, the discipline to say, I always say that if you're going to go work out and you just don't feel like it, even if you, instead of not going, you at least put forth some effort that day, then that is still maintaining your discipline. You showed up, okay, yeah, you couldn't perform. That happens to everybody. But discipline and having repeated success of something that you're performing to do does definitely create confidence.
Yes, because even on those bad days, that's when it shows the most. Because you can say, look, I wasn't feeling great that day at all, but I still did this. I still accomplished something. You look at the positive in it, and that discipline can really help fortify that and solidify your confidence.
And let's face it, energy spreads positively and negatively.
It does.
So it goes up and down. So if you walk into something positive and you're like, hey, let's go, and even if you do have a bunch of followers, then you keep them motivated too. Internally motivated people usually strengthen the culture around them.
And I agree with that. The ones that show the drive, that show the initiative, that put in the hard hours, those are the ones that really uplift those around them. because they're prepared for any of eventuality. They practice it. They go over it in their mind, and that's something that we don't normally see, especially in the podcast and social media world. All we see are the glimpses of the success. We don't see that hard work, that those 80-hour weeks or 100-hour weeks that they put in to get to where they are, and you get to see 10, 15 minutes of it at a time.
So, hey, everybody, now it's time for the fast round.
Ownership or excuses?
Well, that's got to be ownership, Trav.
It
You've got
does.
to take ownership of your mistakes, ownership of your mistakes, and ownership of your successes, too.
Yeah, don't be afraid to take ownership of the successes. That's not being egotistical. That's not being, what's the word I'm looking for?
Pompous? No, that's egotistical.
Oh shit! There's a word for it. You're not blowing your own horn, tooting your own horn, if you will.
That's a phrase.
It is, but I can't come up with the right word. Dang it!
Action or overthinking?
Ooh, probably depends on the situation, but action. Be prepared to act. You've got to, and there it is again, that word, prepared. If you're prepared for the situation, if you practice, if you have that good intention, you'll show up and you'll act appropriately.
Now there is the term overthinking. I don't think overthinking something is necessarily bad, in the extent that if you were to eliminate the possibilities. So if you think about something and explore all the possibilities, the pros and the cons of things, I don't think that's overthinking things. I think that creates a stronger action when action comes to place. Overthinking is like dwelling on things.
I think that's the point, the dwelling on it.
Or the consistent, like, hey, I came to the conclusion that this is not the possibility due to my troubleshooting. Then why do you keep on going back to it? Motivation or discipline?
Ooh. I think discipline. We talked about that a little bit earlier. But motivation waxes and wanes. I can be highly motivated one day and then just feel like, you know what? A tub of ice cream is going to be it today. But the discipline is something that I think that is built with repetition and built with good habits, and the discipline is going to get you through those low motivation days when you don't feel like doing that workout. I think that's the part where you learn who you are. If you're doing a certain workout or you're stuck in a certain scenario and you're like, oh, I can't make it. You draw on that low motivation day when you made yourself do something and you succeeded in it. I think that builds that can-do attitude, and you will be successful, and it will show in your personality. Look, I've had these troubles, I've had these problems, but I showed up every day. I did it every day, and I won. I made it. Energy giver or energy drainer?
I'd rather give energy. I don't want to drain people's energy. Although I love to drain the energy of my kids to get them to go to bed at night. But if I'm talking about the energy in the room, I don't want to be the Debbie Downer.
No, but it happens sometimes, and then hopefully somebody will call it out and say, hey, why are you down?
Blame others or improve yourself?
Ooh, let's blame others. No, improve yourself.
It's all your fault, Travis.
Improve yourself. We can all improve ourselves.
What kind of energy do you constantly bring to the room when you walk into? I think that's what we need to walk away with today. We're not going to answer that. You do it. Please.
Comment below.
Everybody has difficult seasons, but responsibility, discipline, and ownership often determine whether people stay stuck or keep growing.
The people who strengthen teams, communities, and families are usually the ones that bring their own batteries included.
So, thank you for watching this podcast today. Please like, share, comment, and don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching.
They can't see that finger.
I know. Peace out.
Later. Deuces.
Yeah.
Later, guys. We'll see you next time.